Jan van Boeschoten, Innovation Manager at ARM6. And for those of you who don't know what ARM6 is, we are in the top 3 of the internet exchanges in the world. So we're basically at the root of the internet as we know it today. When I was asked to have a presentation here, I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And can you present on Cyber Tuesday? And I was, yeah, why not? But what is Cyber Tuesday, or what is so cyber about Tuesday? So I dived into the history of the word cyber and found out where it comes from. So if we go to the next slide, yeah, thank you. Cyber comes from the word cybernetic, and cybernetic is derived from the Greek word Kubernetes, and Kubernetes betekent steerman, and that is derived from the word kubenan, which is to steer. And it's a word that appeared for the first time in the 19th century and was mentioned by André-Marie Ampère, who you know him from his expertise in the field of electricity, and he used it as the word of the art to govern. And after that the word disappeared a bit and resurfaced again in 1948 when Stephen of Wiener Miller mentioned it in an article, and for him it was the theory about control and communication. But the word cybernetics really became a buzzword in the 70s, a bit like what digital transformation is today. So everybody is talking about digital transformation, and if you talk to somebody, you first have to check whether you mean the same thing. That was the same with cybernetics in the 70s. And what you basically can say, every field of science has its own meaning of what cybernetics was. But if you take all the meanings together, you can say that cybernetics is a circular causal feedback mechanism between interacting agents. And that sounds complicated, but you have to go back to the original word, which is steering. It's a steerman on a boat. And when you try to navigate or direct the boat in a certain directions, there's a lot of elements that you have to take in account, like the current, the waves, and the wind. So it basically is getting interaction and go into the right direction. So that's basically the basic of cybernetics, and there cyber comes from. So when did cyber appear in the literature? And there's luckily one exact moment when cyber appeared in literature, and that was in 1982. It was in the short term from a short story from William Gibson, and here you see the first paragraph of it, and it was called Burning Chrome. And it's you see that he mentioned cyberspace, and that was 82, 40 years ago. And when after that cyber took off as a word, and we have like cybersecurity, Cyber Tuesday, cyberpunks, cyber war. So cyber is really popular. But what does it mean? If we go back to the original word of cybernetics, then we can add something to it, because William Gibson always talked about online network computers. So if we can say that cyber means a circular causal feedback mechanism between interacting agents in an online world of computer networks. Well, that raised the next questions. What is an online world of computer networks? And then we jump 2 years ahead. From 92 we go to 94 for a really good description of online world of computer networks. And then we come to the next quote of William Gibson, and here you see that's a bonus for you, also the birth of the matrix. What he says is the cyberspace matrix is an abstract representation of relationships between data systems. And this was written 40 years ago, and it is basically where we are right now. We now see at M6, we see that he is talking about data, and we slowly see that we're getting a separate layer in the internet as we know today that is focused on connecting data. What AMP6 normally does is we connect networks together. So we are a really basic root layer in the internet, and we build over the last 20 years, we build a big roundabout. And if you are a network or a company, you connect your network directly to the roundabout, and another network also you connect to the roundabout, and then you can exchange in a really fast way. You can exchange data. What we see now is that companies and organizations start to demanding to have the data on the same kind of level. They want to connect the data together. And that's the reason why we as AMP6 closely are involved in a project that is called AMDEX, which is the Amsterdam Data Exchange, which is a field lab project together with the Economic Board of the Amsterdam Economic Board, the University of Amsterdam, SURF and DEXIS, and of course AMS-X. And there are a few reasons why we are involved in that kind of project. Now, first of all, we as AMP6 are independent and neutral. And what does that mean? It is that we are an association, so we don't have any shareholders. So we stay independent because our clients that connect the network are also the members of our board. And when you can imagine that some of the networks that are connected to our roundabout are each other competitors. So they want an independent person in between. Now, we have been doing that for the last 20 years. So we have a lot of experience, but staying independent and staying neutral. Well, exact the same question will start to become vital when you start exchanging data. You might want to exchange data between two competitors, and then you need somebody neutral in the beginning. The second reason is that we call what we do, we connect on layer 2, and that is a safe way of connecting. It's a direct connection between hardware. People also want to do that with their data. This means that we create what we call closed user groups, but you can see that as a walled garden in which you only directly connect with the people you want to connect. And that's just a safe way of connection, so you don't run any risk of cyber attacks and that kind of stuff. And in that field, or in that closed user group, we implemented software. And the software is developed by the University of Amsterdam. But when a university develops some software, then most of the time it's not production ready or not commercial ready. So we take the software and we implement that in a closed user group. So we have a good look on what's happening with your data. So that's what we see developing the upcoming, well, certainly 5 years. And you may ask for what you're doing at the Mobile World Congress. Well, beside an internet exchange, a data exchange, we also have a global roaming exchange. And that is where the same walled garden, but then for mobile operators. So it's very a safe way to connect mobile operators together to have a good roaming policy. So it's all about safety with us. So, and the next guest will be speaking about safety, has a really safe phone. So I want to end with a quote also about of William Gibson, what he says about safety. Oh, sorry, that's, yeah, just go on. If you want to know more, first of all, if you want to know more about what we're talking about, we just go one up. We're here with down. We're here with the three of us, with Tatjana, Jan, and me. So if you want to know more about internet exchanges, data exchanges, or the roaming exchange, you can contact one of us. So I was already going with the end, and please go to the next one. I want to end with a quote from William Gibson on cybersecurity. He called a protection of data system, he called it ICE, intrusion countermeasure electronics. And when you see ICE, that means that you're shut out. So that you're trying, if you want to break through the ice, you're hacking. If you don't see ice, then you know you're on the right network where you are supposed to be. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jan. That was a super inspiring talk. I do have one question, because you were talking about this importance of neutral, and I was wondering, is there also a situation where there is no neutral exchange?
You have commercial companies that also have an internet exchange, but they're not neutral because they have shareholders and they can be bought. So we are an association. So yeah, you can't buy us. So we don't have any commercial interest in looking into the networks and in the data that goes over the networks. So that's our neutral and independent role.
Thank you. That makes it very interesting, I can imagine, also for clients, and that it's really a kind of safe place. And then, all right, then I will go to Jeroen. Jeroen is, if I say it correctly, the managing director of Sectra. You have been in security for 45 years, so very interesting as well. And you have a very secure phone. What are the current risks that you see in when it comes to security and phones? And can you tell us something about your vision on that?
Yes, thank you very much, Anke, for having me here in this presentation. My name is Jeroen de Muynck. I work for Sectra, and we help the Dutch government to protect the state secrets. So I really liked your talk, Jan. Thank you for that. And getting back to your quote also, I didn't know that the word cyber was just 40 years old, because in fact our punchline is we work 45 years in cybersecurity, but that can never exist. That's a big lie. So we have to change the punchline for that one. So thanks for that. Really interesting. Jokes aside, we help the Dutch government, but not only the Dutch government, to protect the state secrets. So we know a lot about what is at stake. Of course, we are here at the Mobile World Congress, and we see here.
But what are the risks? So can you tell us why are you working with the government? What risks are there currently there?
Yeah, thank you. So getting into the risks, of course, I mean, we are here at the Mobile World Congress, and you see a lot of prosperity from the mobile, everything that all the mobiles have given us in the last 20 years, 30 years. But the risks are there, and here in Spain, of course, we have a scandal that is not very known in the Netherlands. It's Pegasus, and this is an example of the malware that could get into the phones, and then that phone is totally taken over by people that want to eavesdrop or wants to take over the phone or wants to understand a little bit more on persons that are not aware of that. So you don't know that you're hacked, and in fact this is a big problem for the state secrets, I guess for anybody using mobile phones, and in particular in Spain, the Pegasus is just one example.
And are malware the only risks that are there? Like, if you look into the realm of cybersecurity, is that the only risk that you have to be aware of, or are there more?
Yeah, there is definitely more, and I mean, we group that into what we are talking about is advanced persistent threats. And advanced means that there is, a lot at stake. So it's the part of advanced is really modern stuff like 0 days, and so you have to be aware of all the technical stuff, the technical possibilities, and everything that is going on. The persistent part means that there is a huge patience and a lot of interest is being put into getting into another a conversation that takes place on a phone, or perhaps if you want to hack a phone, there is a lot at stake. And I mean, now since 1 year we have, of course, a war going on, and this means that now it's much easier to understand where all the threats are coming from. So it's the national, the state actors that really want to understand a little bit, okay, what is going on, what the decisions are that are being made inside the governments. And we would try at Sectra, we would like to keep those decisions within the governments so that nobody else can influence on that decision.
So you sell, let's say, the secure phones to governments, but do you sell them to old governments, or how do you make that choice?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we work for the good guys. And
Who are the good guys? What is a good guy?
yeah. I mean, we basically we target our offerings towards the European states, so the members of the EU or the members of the NATO, and that means the states themselves, but also those multilateral organizations themselves as well.
So Sectra is basically securing Europe. Can I point it out like that?
Definitely, yeah, that's a good yeah.
So countries that have an interest working with Sectra that are outside of Europe will not be your customers.
For certain cryptographic solutions that Sectra can provide, we cannot deliver that one to other nations than outside of Europe. And other possible solutions, there are, of course, always solutions that could be exported also outside, but that's not the focus of Sectra right now.
Okay, very interesting. I've never looked at it from that point of view, that we have a company kind of securing Europe, and also because it's quite a geopolitical then issue. So also interesting point of view to base your company around that. Yeah. So, and also good to know that apparently Europe are the good guys. That's being part of the Netherlands. I'm at the good place then. And where do you foresee? Because there's a lot of like new trends, new developments, like AI, for example. What risks or what challenges do you foresee AI will bring in the cybersecurity area?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would like to add one other thing. That's the area of the quantum computing. As Sectra, we have worked with this a couple of years now. In fact, since 2019, we have our flagship phone that is quantum proof. And it's not us that says it, but it's the Dutch authorities who says that it's quantum proof. It means that you have to understand what kind of cryptographic fundaments will be broken in an era where there is a quantum computer, and other functionalities have to be used then in order to secure the conversation that takes place. So I mean, you have to know already now that the quantum computer will exist. We don't know in 5 years, we don't know in 10 years or in 15 years or whatever, but that will be a tremendous change in the the entire cryptographic world. So some of the algorithms, they will be broken, like public key infrastructure and the asymmetric keys, then that is the part that will be broken. So they have to be replaced. But we know for certain that our phone already is in the quantum proof side.
Yeah, very interesting. Because quantum is quite a hot topic as well. It's still a little bit under the radar because AI right now with ChatGPT, etc., is really covering all the LinkedIn messages. But it's interesting that you're already working on the next generation. And with AI specific, are there things that are changing, let's say, your business or changing the threats for governments? Like, because we have now that you can clone yourself into any video, you can even change, any soccer player for your own imagery and so on. So this means also for like security reasons, how you connect to your phone and so on. Do you see this also as something that needs extra attention also from the governments to look into? And how does that then look like?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And I totally agree with you that AI gives us a lot of good things, but also we have to see also where it is going to be used on the bad side. So like taking over one other personality or the identity of a person. We have quite strong authentication. So I mean, AI cannot hack into our authentication. But of course, bad guys will use also artificial intelligence whenever hacking into other networks. And we see that already now. This is like a cat and mouse game all the time. So artificial intelligence can be used, of course, for the good guys to prevent attacks from happening, but it will also be used on the other side. The adversaries will also use AI to attack, and you have to be totally on top of all the technology that happens there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you both address, let's say, has security because you do it from the Amsterdam Exchange point of view. You do it from, let's say, the phone, the more consumer good point of view. What is the key message that you want to take or want to give away to the people that are here? Like, if you can say one sentence, you know, what should we looking out for? What should we looking forward for? What is your key that you want people to take away today? I'll start with you, and then I'll finish with Jan.
Yeah, I would like to add that, I mean, everything is, you have to be really careful with what you do with your telephones. And I mean, you have to protect everything. So encrypt everything that is ever possible. Use serious stuff and don't be naive. The bad guys are out there, so be aware.
Yeah, still interesting. We run out of time, but these bad guys, like, how do you know they are there? You know, that stays the question, because every new developments that you will use, they will use too. So you will never be 100% sure you're under attack. And that's, I think, that was the tagline of your presentation. So that keeps the question, but I fully agree with you. So, and then on the exchange level, because that's a total different level, of course, what will be your takeaway on the exchange level? So not on the...
Yeah, make it so as secure and as possible. And we call it layer 2 connection. So you only connect the hardware together, and you know, don't go over the public internet, and stay home and read a good book. That's the safest thing you can do.
I agree. Well, I want to close off with that. Thanks everybody for being here today, and thank you very much, Jan and Jeroen.